us with entertainment. What kind of experience is that? Register your hobby on SXiM and simply reserve some transportation. Share a reserved taxi with others. Match with others who have the same hobbies and have a more enjoyable trip. You can log in using any mobile device with only information about your recent conversation. And you can even reserve concert tickets. Moreover, you can also share your conversation with the concierge using the vehicle's terminal. This is where the importance of security comes in. Users' personal information is classified into public and non-public information and strictly monitored with blockchain powered by JASMY. Also, you can safely make reservations or payments. Match with others and enjoy entertainment together.
How about this next part? What is SXiM, right? Or excuse me, SXiM. That stands for Shared Experience in Mobility. Securely utilizes users' personal data to improve their experience of daily activities through personalization. On top of that, JASMY Services allows Wits to develop upon their devices and infrastructure. So we're going to pull this up. And as we do so, it's going to, of course, go through the interpretation and all that good stuff here in a second. And as that's pulling up, here it is. And again, here it is, again, this blast from the past, if you will. So what is SXiM? Shared Experience in Mobility, right? Well, they cover entertainment, knowledge, shopping, drinking, eating, partying, right? A lot of this, of course, is in Japanese, but in the interpretation, it says, using blockchain technology, each individual can safely manage their own info. Well, no kidding. You control your own data at your own disclosure, your own discretion. But here's some of the possibilities that they claim in regards to SXiM. So it says you can talk to the character and set the boarding place, time, number of people, and destination. It's also possible to dispatch a ride with people who have the same taste. And it says taste again. Again, the interpretation is not perfect. So that users who ride together can enjoy themselves and have conversations with each other. I mean, to a sense, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Think of how many times people are on a New York subway, right? They're probably next to some, guy that's gone back crazy over something, and they just kind of want to move away from that guy. There's not a lot of social interactions. You're doing your own thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here, is to group, like-minded people together, or at least people with similar interests. They're going to know, in their non-personal data, like maybe hobbies and things like that. So they can group people together, right, using the PDL. And then if you have a place to go, or you're at an event, you're going home, or you're home and going to an event, they can kind of group similar people together to create a little more harmony, maybe on the ride there, or you're going out drinking, or you're going out, to a party or wherever. You can use the same sort of metrics to bring everybody together. And that makes sense. It totally does. Right? If you have enough people that you can kind of segregate those kind of differences, it'll work.
Yeah, a lot less awkward type of things going on. I also look at it from like a different point of view, right? A gamer side point of view. So a lot of times, like if I'm playing Call of Duty or something like that, man, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of toxic people. It's really hard to find somebody that has similar interests as you, or I guess you could say is not going to act like a complete, part of my expression, douchebag, right? Yeah. So can you imagine something like this, right? Whether it's with this particular partnership with JASMY and so on. Was it SXiM? I would kill for something like this while I'm playing like a first-person shooter game, just to filter out the douchebags.
Now think on a different level. If you have a whole bunch of, let's say, very serious businessmen, right? And the data collected tells them that these people don't talk to strangers. right? They sit by themselves. They're engrossed in their work, right? And so you would have a bus full of well-dressed businessmen and absolute silence, right? And you don't have to worry about somebody trying to chat you up or small talk and all that kind of stuff. So it could group those kinds of people together too. I think that would be a funny video of just complete silence, and you have all of these very serious business guys going to an event together.
You know what I would do? I would literally yeah, exactly. And then the song to be played would be Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence. You know what I mean? Read this as well. JJ says, why can't we see JASMY showing us details on the programming in any of the projects? All right, so I'm glad I saved this. Here it is. So that's a great question. Let's get into some of this stuff. So this is not part of the original outline, and if anything, we'll do our best to not, because there's a lot of details here. So check this out for yourself, and shout out to this particular guy on this outline. Let me show you this real quick. This comes from Reddit, believe it or not, and the guy who posted this did a very good job on posting. This is from Icy Amphibian is his name. Let's go ahead and show this for just a brief moment. And this is all verifiable for yourself. All right, so we talked about this yesterday. All right, so it says JASMY patent breakdown document JP 2022 dash what you see here. This is his second patent breakdown, and this one covers their consensus mechanism for user authentication, which seems to be a new type of proof of authority. We gave you guys the definition of proof of authority yesterday, right? Big difference between proof of stake, proof of work, and so on, right? He recommends taking a quick read on proof of authority. We did that. Draw your attention to the right side. It says JASMY Network has their own consortium blockchain, which is built upon IBM's Hyperledger Fabric. Really, really impressive stuff. Now, yesterday's show, we also talked about Casper and why they use IBM's Hyperledger Fabric. The key connection here when connecting the dots is what? Data. So if you have a data project built on blockchain, you want to pretty much go with IBM's Hyperledger Fabric. That simply makes sense. We have confirmed that. It states, they got this PlugNet toolkit. JASMY will introduce a new application of NFT technology by issuing NFTs as personal data lockers, so on and so forth, right? So you might be the type of guy, well, so what? I want to see it. Well, we'll show you it, all right? So when we jump into this, before we actually show you that, let's have a broader understanding of what the heck Hyperledger Fabric is. So since launching in 2015, Hyperledger Fabric has been a top choice for enterprises looking to build apps on permission blockchain networks. The modular architecture is capable of powering large-scale applications that require enterprise-grade data security. On top of that, the ability to protect certain details of pure transactions has made Hyperledger Fabric a go-to protocol for industries like financial services, supply chains, the insurance industry, so on and so forth. It works for complex use cases that involve personally identifiable information and proprietary business data. Again, key thing here is data. Some people refer to it nowadays as digital oil, right? Hyperledger Fabric is one of the many protocol choices available on Kaleido with a full suite of plug-and-play services, so on and so forth, right? Kaleido is, of course, the easiest way to run Fabric network anywhere. Now you have a broader idea of that. Let's jump back to this for a brief moment. So this actually comes from the official Japan platform for patent information. And again, you can verify this for yourself, and I'll go ahead and give you that link in the comments as we speak, just in case you're just like, you know what, Max is full of crap, and I'm the #1 flutter in the world. I'm not saying you are, JJ, and I want to verify it for myself. You can go there right there and verify it for yourself. So we're going to jump into this. And when I did, man, there's a lot. I mean, there is a ton of information in regards to this. So let's jump into some of this stuff. So you have this whole entire thing of how it's all written together. It's a legitimate thing. And, when we get further into it, I mean, it really mentions some real technical stuff, right? So it says to provide a new authentication technique. There's all sorts of stuff here, right? Discriminating whether or not the answer is correct. I mean, this is very, very technical stuff, mentioned here and so on. I believe it mentions biometric data and how that works and so on and so forth, right? But, it's all outlined here, right? And when you get further into it, you will come to the conclusion that, you know what? Yeah, they are using Hyperledger Fabric. And again, you can go through it yourself and you can confirm it with that link. If you take more of your own deep dive, there's just a lot of exhausting information that's basically here. Okay. But it gives all the technical information. How about this right here? Biometric authentication, a method of measuring physical characteristics such as a face, right? A vein, a voice, right? But what's the key thing here, right? AI. Now, another thing I was going to mention just real quick, and especially goes to all the fudders in the world who might be watching this as we speak, and that is what's coming up here soon for JASMY. Oh yeah, you better believe it. It's called AI data, their particular engine, their AI data engine, right? It's supposed to drop in this quarter at some point, right? And of course, we're going to do a proper deep dive in that. But why go through all the trouble of listing this in a particular patent with the Japanese patent office that gives a full breakdown about all of this if there was nothing there, right? So it mentions all this, right? Think about face, vein, voice. That's all part of the AI, right? However, it is difficult to realize and identify, see the rate at 100%, right? And it's not going to be spot on perfect, but they recognize that, right? This is due to technicalities of biometric authentication. By combining a plurality of biometric authentication, it is, like it says right here, conceivable to increase an identification rate, right? So if anything, the AI is going to be a hell of a lot more accurate than most people would even be, and that is big. So as we go further down into this, it says it may not be possible to determine that subject is a legitimate user, even though the subject is a legitimate user. I mean, there might be some minor flaws, but the key thing is they have a whole freaking outline about biometric authentication, if you're into these things, and physical characteristics, and the disclosure, all sorts of stuff, right? This is why we do some of these deep dives. And so my thing is, I prepare for some of the backlash from the other point of view of like, hey man, there's nothing here, and can you stop talking about JASMY? I'm not going to stop talking about JASMY. There's a perfect reason. So it says, according to an aspect of the present disclosure, this is the last part I'll read, because again, there's a lot about this. A query unit may generate a it's cut off right there, of questions obtained to all these things. The determination unit may determine whether each of the answers required by the inquiry unit is a correct answer. So again, it's trying to, long story short, it's trying to verify information. And is that information, positive, or is it not? And should we recheck things based on the algorithm, based on the AI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, so just getting further into it, there is pages and pages and pages of this information to verify for yourself. You can read it for yourself. You can go to that freaking Japanese site, verify it for yourself. It's legit, right? And the main thing is the ties to IBM's, Hyperledger Fabric.
There you go.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to remember all this stuff. Actually, just on the surface, I like this part. For example, a point in time where user 5 reaches the boarding point, right? He's getting on, this guy's getting on a train or something. The user is accepting a device. User is present. Who's the next user? Is that user present? Did they get on? Did they get off? And then even on some of the drawings, let's get into some of this stuff just for a brief moment. I mean, it's all drawn there, right? All this stuff. And again, if you want to take the time to do so, I'm not going to do it all night. We'll be here forever. You can verify it for yourself. But it's solid. And with that said, that makes me very, very that much more bullish on JASMY.
Yeah. What's nice about the Hyperledger Fabric is it's modular. It's it's a modular blockchain. And the easiest way to understand the difference and the benefit of that is it's layers, right? It's just that layers of data built on each other, so that if you have an issue or you want to make an update or you need to change something, you don't have to take everything down, launch a V2, when you have one of those, single level type blockchains, that we see everywhere, and then they got to to take it down because something changed or something went wrong. Then they got to launch a V2, and then they got to airdrop and all that nonsense. Modular blockchain, they just pull something out. Everything keeps running. They update it. They stick it back in, turn it on, or, I don't know all the complex, events that happen around that. But essentially that's the benefit of having a modular blockchain. I don't know why everybody doesn't utilize that. That just makes sense to me.
Right. It makes total sense. I mean, hence why I'm not going to use like the old fashioned power supplies back in, my ATX tower. I'm going to use a modular power supply.
Right.
If you guys ever have one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, I want a port for, my PCI Express. I want a port for PCI 2.0. I want a port for USB 3. I want it all. I don't want to be limited to have. How about this? The only thing I having to go to, they used to have it here. It went out of business, Fry's Electronics, and having to buy a stupid adapter for everything. Who wants to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And if you have an issue with something, it's not taking out your entire platform. You just replace what you need to replace.
All right, let's go ahead and jump back into our coverage. So we were talking about a lot that's here, right? Quite a bit. And again, I can't thank this guy enough, right? JB.
This is a great information. I mean, you really did a great job.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. I mean, I go through crypto Twitter, I go through Reddit. And guys, all of you guys out there, I just want to state this real quick. They just use crypto Twitter only. That's great. Understand that Reddit, you could get a lot of great information on Reddit as well. So you should use both for your toolkit, in my opinion. For our utility belt, CryptoSmith. Utility talk now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about a lot of this, and I think we got into this particular one in regards to the infrastructure. Give me just a second. So this is something I want to get into. All right. So it says JASMY's tech was used by Wits company to exhibit at CES 2021. Mentions plain as day, Wits and JASMY. All right. Again, for some of the fudders, they're just like, I don't get this. This doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't come from Wits. This doesn't come from JASMY. This comes from a different source, and it's actually this particular site, which is juanlan.zhu.com. Okay. All this stuff is verifiable. Wits Corporation, like it says, will be participating. It did, which will be held online from January of that particular date. While at the show, Wits publicly announced that they were using JASMY's technology. We confirmed that part earlier, right? But when we go further down on this, look at the thing in regards to the main exhibition. They presented SXiM. We talked about that. Let's go further down, actually. How about the Wits company profile? Before we get to that, excuse me. How about the smart city? So the WAR XS is a series of smart cities that is simulated using the high precision 3D model smart city. And that was exhibited. Can't even say that word right now. It was shown, obviously, exhibited back in November of 2021. WAR XS is a smart city and is not limited to the reproducing of mobility services by autonomous vehicles, but also can reproduce traffic flow. Interesting. At the same time, all data and services expected in a smart city can be simulated, such as people flow, infrastructure, so on and so forth. Now, let's jump into the company profile for just a brief moment. So the Wits company profile. Wits is a company that contributes to the development of autonomous driving, artificial intelligence. I mean, think about it, guys. We're connecting the dots. Why wouldn't JASMY and why wouldn't Wits want to work together if they're all about IoT and AI, right? I mean, come on. It's not rocket science.
It makes sense.
Yeah. By providing specialized technologies such as embedded software, security simulation, functional safety, and even operating systems. Now, in regards to Wits, they have been involved in the development of Japan's leading automakers. And we know that because, like I said again, they are a subsidiary of Toyota. All the fudders are like, oh, it doesn't say Toyota. It doesn't say Toyota didn't mention anything. Understand there's a difference between the main company and subsidiaries. Subsidiaries exist all over the place. And a lot of them don't go public and say, you know what, I got a Mercedes-Benz partnership. But guess what? You're a subsidiary, right? With the particular parent company. Come on, guys. Think about it. All right. So there's this whole thing of home appliance manufacturers, machine tool manufacturers. They recognize, obviously, JASMY, right? Internet of Things. But I like this. It says JASMY is a company that develops and provides data security and sharing services in the Internet of Things era, right? The era. And that era moving forward is all about Web3. We are committing to protecting the data that originally belongs to individuals and building decentralized autonomous world so as to realize the sharing of data value. When we talk about the whole thing of, you know, the Bitcoin white paper and, you know, the decentralization of that and so on, we're talking about this right here. The whole entire decentralizing of data and the centralizing of a whole freaking city or maybe a whole economy or whole country, you name it. But the point is, they just have a totally different way of looking at it. Now, I'm going to jump back to this particular outline, and it says thoughts on SXiM. Now, his thoughts on it is that this is a service that is useful for the following reasons, right? And if you're still paying attention with us, hopefully you guys are, this is going to allow users to have personalized services on attractions offered, pairs well with Tizwit, right? As venues could use to improve visitors' experience through their local transportation systems. Kind of like a reiteration we're talking about earlier. You know, here, I don't live in New York City. I mean, shout out to Badir, aka Crypto Winter. But I imagine, you know, it's riding on the subway. I mean, you get to point A and point B, and you just want to feel safe at the end of the day. But can you imagine if you were paired well with other like-minded people who want to talk about blockchain technology or, I don't know, you name it? Be cool stuff, right?
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have not yet subscribed, do yourself a favor and subscribe for more information on the ISO 222 compliant tokens, and hit the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of the new videos when they come up. Max and I cover these ISOs, and we also have a live show every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you tune in for that. You won't want to miss it. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next video.